Welcome into Picks and Parlays Power Hour. My name is Hannah Mears. I am your host for the next hour. You can follow me on Twitter at Han Mears. And don't forget, Picks and Parlays is live Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, so you can join us here. My first guest today is Craig Trapp, and we're talking college ball first. And we've got a new game here. We're going to do some rapid fire, 5 college games for Saturday. Now, Craig, how this works is I'm going to name games. And each game that I name, I want to know what you're going with. Are you ready for this? It might be a little insane.
Yeah. Hey, week 1, it's insane no matter what. So I'm ready.
Okay. We love some college football regardless. Fans are always insane as well. So the first game, Oregon at Georgia. We've got number 3, Georgia, number 11, Oregon. The totals on this game, 52.5, and the spread at 17.5. Who are you going with?
Talking about when's the last time you've seen a top 10, top 20 team as a 17.5 point underdog? I mean, that tells you, I really think it's the haves and have-nots. The top 5 teams, it's the haves, or even top 3 or 4, really. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, I think are the haves. Everybody else is the have-nots, at least if you look at the point spread. I just think Georgia is the better team here. I don't think that's a surprise. Obviously, if you want to lay this kind of number, you have to assume Georgia's just going to dominate, because early on, a lot of teams will settle for end up playing field goals because of penalties and that kind of stuff. I think Georgia's defense will pick up where they left off last year, even with so many guys leaving. I like Georgia minus 17.5. Also think the under is not a terrible play in this one.
Yeah, the Oregon's new head coach, though, who knows? He has some familiarity with the Georgia Bulldogs. Next game, we've got Cincinnati at Arkansas. I love this game as well. We've got a number 19, number 23 team. We've got Arkansas at -6 here and the total at 52.5. What do you like?
Well, when you look at this game, remember what Cincinnati was the last 3 or 4 years. Ritter at quarterback. I mean, he was 4-year starter, never lost a home game. I mean, they went undefeated last year, crashed the playoffs. But you have a Cincinnati team that lost a ton. I mean, a ton. When you're at Cincinnati and you lose, 4 or 5 draft picks in the first 3 or 4 rounds, it's one thing when you're Ohio State, Clemson, Florida, these big schools losing that. When you're Cincinnati, much tougher to reload. I think they did reload and they have good depth, but I think that team is young right now. I think they're going to have to win early with their defense. I think it's going to have to slow this game down. I like the under in this game. I just think Arkansas, I remember what they did last year. They were really good on offense early. I think Cincinnati has to keep the ball away from them, which means under for me.
This is the first ever meeting between these teams too, so they're going to be figuring each other out. All right, next game, Craig. We've got Houston at UTSA. Tell me, we've got Houston at -4, over under 61.5. What do you like for this game on Saturday?
These are 2 teams that I both could see these teams kind of being some upset teams at the end of the year, being in a much better bowl situation than what maybe you would think when you think Houston and UTSA. I like the over here. I think both of these teams like to score a lot of points. I think both defenses, hot evening, hot day in Texas. I think this game goes way over the total. I'm thinking like 37-35 shootout. I think UTSA wins this game, but I like the over best.
Hot games in Texas, something I definitely want to see at some point in my life in college football. Take me to Texas. Our next game, we have Utah at Florida. Utah, the favorite in this one at -3. The total is 50.5. Where are you going? You going Gators? You going Utah? Tell me about it.
Well, Utah is my team. Last year I liked Cincinnati earlier in the year to be the upsetter of someone that you didn't expect to be in the playoffs. Utah is my team this year. I think they can. If they beat USC, that'll be the key with them. But if they win this game, I think they're going to be probably favored in every game, maybe but one rest of the year. I think Utah is clearly the better team. Remember in the bowl, they almost beat a very good Ohio State team with their second or third string quarterback. I'll take Utah in this one -3. I think Florida is going to be better than people think this year. I just think early on, Florida won't be as good as Utah. Utah is going to be really good this year. Let's take Utah -3.
An Ohio State team that always seems to reload every year too, mind you. So, all right, I'm here for that one. Next one we've got, speaking of the Buckeyes, Notre Dame at Ohio State. Ohio State, the 17-point favorite in this one, total 59.5. Man, there is so much good college football on Saturday. I need to know what you're thinking this one, though.
This game, I'm from Ohio. I'm living about an hour and a half from Columbus. I'm a Catholic school kid my whole life. My fight song in high school was Notre Dame's fight song, so I always liked Notre Dame. So this is tough. I hate Ohio State. I mean, it's like everything is pulling at me in every which way. I'm going with a total in this one. I just think it's safer. I just think this game screams take a total. I think you take the over. I know this Notre Dame team defense is going to be better than people think. This Ohio State team is elite on offense. And I mean, if they don't finish 1 or 2 in the country in scoring and all the statistics that we all follow in offensive categories, I will be shocked. They have probably the best 2 receivers in the country, if not 2 of the best 3. I think they have the best quarterback in the country, great running back, solid offensive line. Defense is the question. Remember last year we just talked about the Rose Bowl, how many points they gave up in the Rose Bowl to a Utah team that doesn't like to score points. I think they'll get it better on defense, but it'll take a few weeks. Over 59.5. Ohio State, I hate to say this, as I'm a Notre Dame fan, I think they're going to give up 50 this week to Ohio State.
Making some bold predictions on this Power Hour. We love to hear it. Listen, I live with a former Buckeye. My boyfriend wrestled there. I don't like the Buckeyes as much as the next guy, being from Penn State. But if you like Craig's picks, let us know. We love having a rapid fire. Go to picksandparlays.net. Use the promo code NFL. Saves you 20% off the entire site. Thank you so much for your college football, Craig. We love to see it. Now, make sure you can go to BetMGM Sportsbook for this promo. You get up to $1,000 and a risk-free bet using promo code MORNING. We have Craig here with me on this Power Hour talking next Steelers and Bengals, baby. We still got a little bit of time until this game kicks off. The Bengals are coming into this game at a 6.5-point favorite. Now, I know you like the Bengals. You know I'm from Pittsburgh. We're going back and forth on this one a lot. I think we're going to have similar opinions on this game, though, unfortunately. So go ahead. Tell me what you got.
Well, the only thing I thought, as the preseason went on was Kenny Pickett going to be good enough to start? Because as impressive as any rookie quarterback I've seen in preseason in a very, very long time, but still didn't win the job. I think he'll probably maybe even get in a couple of possessions in this one, but Mitch Trubisky did get to win the job. I think the Steelers need to go back to old Pittsburgh ways. Run the ball, win with defense, and running the ball, especially if you're going to say Trubisky's going to be your starting quarterback. And I think that means this is going to be a much lower scoring game. A lot of people think overs with this Bengals team because, let's be honest, they're going to be one of the more talented offenses in the NFL. They have weapons everywhere. But I think you can get a little enamored early in the years with these offenses. And just remember, a lot of times special teams isn't necessarily great. So you can have missed field goals, mixed extra points. A lot of penalties usually in week one. And it leans to a lot more unders than you would think. So I'm thinking under in this game. Now, both of us, you like the Steelers, I like the Bengals. No secrets there. Both of us, I think, would say, though, in our history, no matter what, it's like throw the records out. These are rivals. You throw the records out. I would be shocked if this is a get out of the hand type of game. I think even if the Bengals would cover, say they win by 7, I think it's going to be right down to the wire where Steelers have a chance to cover late. So if I would be playing the side, definitely thinking you take the points with the Steelers. I just think Mike Tomlin, as much as I've hated the Steelers in my life, there is no better coach outside of Bill Belichick that I would want if I was picking a franchise to run mine. And I think week 1, this is a dangerous spot for the Bengals. I think Steelers are going to be better than people think too. There were definitely an over selection for me on the win total. So let's take the better play on the under for the points. But if you are playing the side, Hannah, I'm with you and your Steelers.
Okay. We had differing opinions on this. The same for the under. The reason being, because I think the Steelers are in a bit of an identity crisis on offense at the moment. We don't know, which quarterback is the favorite. Obviously, they're saying Mitch Trubisky, but do people prefer Kenny Pickett? Steeler fans sure do. The offensive line is terrifying at the moment. So regardless of anything that happens, Najee Harris could have a fantastic year if this offensive line helps him out. That's why I think they're going to have the under, because the Steelers, on converting on third down, and their red zone conversions as well, especially against the Lions. They could not do anything, and they relied a lot on Boswell. So I think taking the under is smart, because I think the Steelers are going to be that team, at least in the first game, while their offense is still working out some kinks. They're going to rely on Boswell, which is why I like the under. I kind of am swayed a little bit with taking the points with the Steelers, because you're right. Mike Tomlin is just elite when it comes to finding a way. Yep. But the reason I liked taking the points with the Bengals was only because of this identity crisis that the Steelers are in, and the fact that the games last year did not fare at all well in the Steelers' favor, and they had an elite defense still when those games were there. So we could be a little different. But you also have go with the under.
You also have the defensive player of the year. I mean, that defensive player of the year, Watt. I mean, if you would have told me Watt was going to be better at his brother at any point of his career, I'd be like, you are off your rocker. Not only is he better than his brother, he's better than his brother when his brother was at his prime. That's how good he's been, how dominant he's been. The last preseason game, I mean, he was wrecking the Lions. I mean, when he was only in there for, I think, 2 possessions, but still. I think this defense of the Steelers, they weren't great last year. They're going to be much better.
100%, especially in the secondary, the area that's going to need to guard some Jamar Chase out there. So let's hope that can happen. But I do agree. We both agreed that the better bet in this game is the under. So may the best man win, Craig Trapp. But if you want more of Craig's bets, you can always get the best by going to picksandparlays.net, using promo code NFL, and saving 20% off the entire site. Thank you so much for your picks, Craig. It's always a pleasure having you here.
All right, so I've got a little technical difficulties right now. Lenny's power went out, which is our producer.
I was wondering what was happening. I was like, Lenny, we're moving on here to the next one.
So I'm going to try to take us. I think the next game we actually have, we'll bring Lee in. I'll be the producer behind the scenes. But if we have any problems, you know why. So Hannah, you can take it from here. I'm going to take myself out.
Let's bring in Lee. Hello, Lee from ASA. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, and even better, because Lee and I are going to be talking about something that's going to be happening in my backyard, the Backyard Brawl. West Virginia at Pitt. Pitt, a 7.5-point favorite in this one, totals at 51. My Lord, am I excited for this game to see Pitt bringing back an offensive line from last year that kept Kenny Pickett in high standings. Keaton Slovis transferring in, but West Virginia, man, don't count out those Mountaineers. So going into Acrisure Stadium, though, I think these teams are both going to be maybe shaking off some kinks, and then the game, Pitt may run away with it. That's just my opinion and what I see from the Panthers this year, with a lot to prove that last year was not a fluke. So, Lee, I want to know what you're thinking. What do you like? What do you want people to be putting their money on coming Thursday night?
I think we're on the same page. I like Pitt in this game. They've got enough players back on both sides of the football that they're not going to have to make as many adjustments as West Virginia is. Obviously, the big news out of Pitt is replacing Kenny Pickett, and Slovis he'll be a nice replacement. He's got 58 career touchdown passes for USC. He's completed 68.4% of his passes. As you mentioned, they've got their starting offensive line is back. They've got a deep stable of running backs. They've got a couple wide receiver transfers. So I think the offense is in really good hands this year in Pitt. I don't expect him to miss too much of a beat. Obviously, Pickett is a difference maker. So, he's not going to just slide in there and do what he did. The interesting thing here is West Virginia also has a former USC quarterback with JT Daniels. He gets his opportunity after sitting behind Bennett last year in Georgia. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic here with 2 USC quarterbacks facing off. But again, as we mentioned, Pitt's just got more players back on both sides of football. West Virginia's offensive line, they've got 5 starters back, but they were last in the Big 12 in sacks allowed and tackles for a loss. So I don't think they'll be very good this year. West Virginia was 73rd in offensive efficiency a year ago. Yards per play, they averaged 5.1. They're 107th in yards per point. So they've got a lot to do on that side of the football. So I just don't see them scoring enough points necessarily to keep up with Pitt in this game.
So you're going to say the over 51 and Pitt at -7.5.
Yep, I'm going to side with the over on this also. I'm betting the number in this game of 51. Last year, West Virginia was 5-8 to the under. but 7 of those 13 games finished with 51 or more points. Pittsburgh started the season last year with 5 straight overs. Vegas adjusted. They finished 8-6 over for the season, but Pittsburgh games last year finished with more than 52 points, 11 out of 14 games. So I expect West Virginia to score just enough points here. I expect Pittsburgh to score a lot of points here, and I think they'll both get over that total.
Yeah, I think you can expect Pitt to score a lot of points. The reason that I liked betting maybe the spread better was because I just want to see what Keaton Slovis is going to be like in this offense first before I just go off of Kenny Pickett last year, but all valid points and what I saw when I was evaluating whether I take the total on that as well. So Lee, couldn't agree more. I am so beyond excited for the Backyard Brawl. You have no idea. So everyone, if you like Lee's picks, remember, go to picksandparlays.net. Use promo code NFL. Saves you 20% off the entire site. You can see Lee and the rest of his picks as well. Moving forward now with Lee, we have BYU at South Florida. BYU's coming in as a 12-point favorite. Now, in 2019, these two teams met, and I believe SF won by 4 points. So we have two completely different teams this year, though. So tell me, based off of what we have coming into 2022 on Saturday, who do you like better, taking BYU, laying points with BYU, or taking one of the totals?
I liked over 58 in this game. I expect it to be higher scoring. And they did actually meet last year, and they produced 62 total points a year ago. They went over the total. Was it last year? Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The over-under was 53.5. So Vegas has adjusted up a little bit. But again, they put up 62. These two teams return a ton of their production, like some of the most in the country. BYU's got 88% of their production back. South Florida, 86, with 88% of that production being on offense. Defensively last year, South Florida was not good. They were 117th in points allowed per game, 36.3. They were 97th in yards per point allowed at 13.2. They gave up 40 or more points in 6 of 12 games. So the Bulls are going to give up points. BYU had a few issues of their own defensively. They were 103rd in red zone scoring percentages. They allowed 88.37% of opponents to score once they got inside the red zone. They were also 108th in third down conversions allowed, and they were 51st in points allowed per game. Defensive efficiency, they both ranked 83rd or worst. So I don't think the defenses are there. BYU offensively, they were 4th in offensive efficiency a year ago. They averaged just under 31 points per game. South Florida was not very good offensively last year, 83rd in offensive efficiency, but they're going to be much better with most of their players back this season.
And I think BYU's O-line returning, I believe they return a pretty killer offensive line. So that should help bump the over in this circumstance. So I like that pick from you, Lee, a lot. Remember, everyone, you can go to BetMGM, like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We are live with the Power Hour Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. BetMGM Sportsbook promo up to $1,000 risk-free bet using the promo code MORNING. If you like Lee's picks, remember, you can get all of the best bets by going to picksandparlays.net using promo code NFL. Saves you 20% off the entire site. Lee, thank you so much for joining me on the Power Hour today, and good luck with all of your bets.
Thanks, Hannah.
All right. Hopefully we are done with some technical difficulties. It looks like we are, and we've got Sean back here with us, and we are going to be first talking some college football, I believe. So we've got Troy at Ole Miss. Now, Sean, we've always got some of these games that are a little bit of a head scratcher. Are we going to be putting money on them? Is this too good to be true? But you've got to look at statistics when it comes down to it. Troy at Ole Miss obviously a 21.5-point favorite. The total on this one, 57.5. Troy's got a new head coach, though, so maybe things are looking up for them in the Sun Belt division in that way. But Ole Miss, really shouldn't have too much of a problem with this. So what are you liking better here?
Yeah, we come in with these games and you're like, it's easy. Let's just take the SEC, right? SEC should dominate the small schools. But you know what? I kind of lean a little Troy. But that being said, I want to go under the total here. Troy's got a bunch of starters back. So 18 starters back, which is nice. They bring in a new head coach. but he was a defense coordinator in the SEC at Kentucky. So maybe he has a little bit of insight of playing against Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin here. And Kiffin's crew, they got 10 guys. They're reloading or rebuilding, however you want to reword it, for
especially with a new quarterback.
USC transfer comes in, 10 starters gone. And this team actually, as much as people love Lane Kiffin, right? Here comes sexy Lane. It's the young hipster. They put up points, yes, big offense, number 6 last year, but they went under in 10 of 13 games in 8 straight. So 57.5 here looks good. Although I was thinking about taking those 21.5, especially that hook. You look at it like, oh, I'm getting 3 touchdowns. I don't know. I might just avoid that and just go under. I think it's going to be a lower scoring affair. So give me that 57.5 and let's go. Yeah. I don't want to see a lot of offense. I want to see some sloppy plays, some punts. Nothing too
there
crazy.
Might be with a new quarterback. There might be, and I guess as well with Troy, you have to think about their offense returning 10 starters. I mean, that has to do something. They're coming in with a little bit of confidence and veteran presence, and their defense had a great pass rush last season. So if it's something Ole Miss hasn't seen yet, and to a new quarterback dealing with that, I mean, it could cause for some sloppy play in week 1. So I like the under on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. But again, you got a guy who's faced him playing in the SEC, so that always helps out.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure if you want more of Sean's picks, you go to picksandparlays.net using promo code NFL. It saves you 20% off the entire site. Thanks so much, Sean. We appreciate your college football expertise. Now, everyone at Picks and Parlays, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Our Power Hour is live Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, don't forget, head over to BetMGM using the promo code MORNING for up to $1,000 and a risk-free bet. Now, we're going to head over and look ahead into the future a little bit. Eagles at Lions. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles, there's been some interesting moves made with roster cuts this past, day, really. I've seen so much going on, but they're still favored. I think the line moved to -4, maybe flirted with 3.5 here a little bit. So what do you like coming into this game?
Yeah, I'm sure Detroit Lenny's probably very excited about this game because I told him I got the Lions at +4.5 in week 1. Give me some Detroit Rock City here. That everybody's going to be all over the Eagles, right? I saw they get a trade, right? They bring in some guy from the Saints cornerback, and my Twitter's like, oh my goodness, I'm like, did I miss? Did they just get Deion Sanders? Like, who did they bring in here? Who's this guy? Like, Philly. I'm no Philly. I'm a Cowboy guy.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
I'm fair. Listen, I'm fair. I think Dallas is a under team. I'm fair when it comes to my assessment of teams.
Yeah.
But Philly people, they're insane. I don't know if you're a Philly fan, but I mean, they're nuts. Okay.
I'm from Pittsburgh, Sean.
So you hate Philly just as much as I do. What are we doing here, Eagles? You're talking Super Bowl. I don't see it. I like your quarterback. They were ready to bring in Deshaun Watson to replace your guy. I mean, I'm not sold on Philly.
Jalen Hurts has not proved that he's really that guy. Everyone thinks this year, let's just jump on his back. I think that everyone's overhyping him to a point of, sure, it's hopes and prayers, but what has he done to prove it? And he's had time to do that. Sure, having A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith helps.
Yes.
But is it the key to them going to the Super Bowl? I think there's still a couple maybe big factors away from being that type of team.
And I love Detroit's coach. Forget about the Hard Knocks. I like them beforehand in Hard Knocks. Yeah. I think he's just one of those guys where his players, you saw it in week 1 last year against the Niners. They came all the way back. They will go and run through walls and eat dead animals off the side of the road. They don't care. You know that Detroit's going to play hard at home. Bad season, the whole 9, and yet you get Philly coming in here with a lot of hype. I don't know. Give me Detroit. I'm going to say I got, again, 4. Sprinkle that money line, as they say. Yeah. A little. Everybody talks about sprinkling, but really, I mean, I think it's a good one here with Detroit. I see Lenny in the background with his hat on. He's excited.
Yeah, he's probably super sprinkle alert. He says, yeah, no, I think that's not bad. I mean, if you looked at the Lions and Steelers game the other day, I mean, okay, I get it. Backups were playing, things like that. But when the ones were on the field, the Steelers had a hard time getting into the end zone. And that's with guys that I think may have a little bit better of an offensive presence, minus maybe the offensive line, than the Eagles do. I mean, I would be taking a Najee Harris in a backfield being more of a threat than what the Eagles have. The Steelers have talented receivers. They have great tight ends. So I think if they can, the Lions can be holding the Steelers to some field goals, they could be giving the Eagles some trouble as well. So I think keeping that game a little closer than what people think may be the smart thing to do.
Listen, a home dog in the NFL opening day against a team that's got a lot of hype. I'll gladly take a team with a lot to prove with that chip on their shoulder.
We haven't seen a lot of Goff yet, and I'm excited to see what he can do. We've just been, the story of the Lions has been who's going to be the backup. Well, let's hope it doesn't have to get to that point. So I like it too. Take those dogs. Remember, everyone, go to picksandparlays.net. Using promo code NFL saves you 20% off the entire site, and you can see more of what Sean has to say regarding his picks. Thank you, Sean, and good luck with all your picks. Thanks for joining me on Power Hour.
Anytime.